Well, we finally got a new patch update coming to the game with some buffs, with some nerfs, and some WTF changes thrown in here as well. But that's not all, because Arrowhead just dropped some info for missions and new enemy types that will be going live later this week. Yeah, we've got major fire changes here, mechs getting hit, grenade launchers getting hit harder, and a lot more. So sit back while I break it all down for you. If you want to help support the channel, please hit subscribe. If you're on mobile, please swipe right to hype the video. And here comes all the latest from Helldivers. Alright divers, a little notice up front. We are getting a series of different drops today that are going to be split up over this week. So in this breakdown, we're taking a look at the new Illuminate content drop coming this Friday, March 20th. We also just got a fairly large patch to the live game that I've got broken down for you in this video with my thoughts along the way. Also later today, March 17th, we're going to be getting the new Entrenched Division Warbond. And I've already posted a thoughts and impressions video to that Warbond trailer, and it's live up on the channel. But work permitting, I will be diving into this Warbond as soon as it is live and testing all the gear and weapons, and hopefully from there, posting a video with my results. Okay, so first up is the new Illuminate content that is coming to Helldivers on Friday, March 20th, and that is this trailer you see playing in the background. Now, we've seen the build up on social media with these Illuminate Cult of the Orb propaganda posters, and now it looks like it's confirmed. We are headed back to the front lines versus the Squid later this week, but they have bolstered their ranks with new enemy types. Expect to run into a new Illuminate sub-faction known as Appropriators, who are said to be shielded and powerful, arriving in Illuminate fleets, as well as hordes of flesh mobs and voteless. There's also a new Watcher variant called the Obtruder, and two piloted constructs, which I assume is another name for a machine, like a mech. The Veracitor is their close quarters combat variant, while the Gatekeeper is said to engage at long range. We'll also have to take on two different combat units with this new Illuminate update. The first will be made up of those masses of flesh mobs and voteless, but with far fewer Illuminate commanding them. The second will be led by the Appropriators, and will be made up of only Illuminate units, including a variety of machines, including the Veracitors and Gatekeepers, and it is said that these can be piloted or otherwise. The Helldivers are also going to be sent into new planetary conditions called exostorms, which you can see here in this video as the lightning just starts striking all over the planet's surface. You'll be able to see if a planet is currently under the effects of exostorms, but you won't know just how violent they are until you hit the planet's surface, because they can vary, with stronger storms presenting even more of a threat. In order to stop the exostorms, you'll have to destroy a new Illuminate structure called the Exospire. We'll have to see exactly how to do this, but apparently it involves a two-step process that requires us to locate and destroy the shield generators, and then to enter the main Exospire chamber and destroy the dark fluid cells. As always, I'll include links to everything in today's video, like for instance, the Illuminate trailer you just saw, and of course the patch notes, and you can find them down in the video description and pinned comment, because now we need to get into today's update 6.1.0. Now, since I'm posting this one super early, I don't yet know how large the patch size is for PC, PS5, or Xbox. But if any of my fabulous viewers out there want to help out and post a comment with your platform and patch size, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, so the patch itself. Well, there's some good here, there's some meh, and definitely some ugly. But let's kick it off with the big changes to fire and flamethrowers. Now, the patch notes say that smaller to medium-sized enemies will now generally get slowed down while getting hit with flames from the flamethrowers. Also, small to medium enemies from all three factions will be confused and panic when getting flamed and will start attacking randomly. And all I can say is, finally. Yeah, this is something we've needed for 2 years now. And here on the day that a fire-centric Warbond drops, these new on-fire AoE effects will be installed into the game. Now, I will say that in general, if this is working correctly, it will make all fire weapons feel better to use because of these new effects. But I do still want to try out the Backpack Flamer along with the Flam Stoker SMG Underbarrel versus what we already have in the game. How much of these weapons' performance will be based on the new fire status changes, and how much will be attributed to their base damage or lack of it? That's what I want to see. Next, it's on to the primary and secondary weapon changes, and there's not that many here, but the first is the AR-GL21-12, and the fact that it's had its underbarrel button mapping moved from down over to left. The Plaz 15 Loyalist will receive one more magazine, and it will now take a quarter second less time to fully charge a shot, from 1 second down to 0.75 seconds. And finally, the much avoided stem pistol has received a 100% increase to its heal effect, along with its muzzle velocity being buffed from 200 up to 300. Now, unfortunately, I don't see anything here about its terrible sway mechanics, making it hard to hit divers with the stem darts due to its aim just kind of being all over the place. Stratagems received quite a few changes, with 11 of these being altered, and most of these have to do with buffs, but there are 2 here that, well, yeah, you'll see. First up, you can now climb resupply pods, but if you have auto climb enabled, it won't do it automatically, so you can climb or decide to stay boots on the ground without the game making that decision for you. This next one is one of those I spoke about, so sit down for this one, because the AP4 fantasy is over. The Grenade Launcher has seen its armor pin value reduced from heavy down to medium. Personally, I was hoping that the GL belt fed would be brought up to its level, but instead the GL has been brought back to what it used to be. Yeah, drop a comment about how you feel about this one, and let's see where the community is landing on this hot topic. It's just a flag. One true flag has had its melee ability moved, and the size of the melee has been increased, which sounds good because it was always a bit meh and definitely inconsistent with its strikes. Also, it appears they've added an aggro mechanic to the flag, and if you happen to be waving it around, the enemies will now target you. So I think from the wording here, there's a potential way to pull enemy mobs away from, say, an objective with the flag so your squad mates can get in there and finish it up. I don't know. We'll have to see, but that kind of sounds interesting to me. The Breaching Hammer received a 100 damage increase, up from 2100 to 2200 for even more thunderous hammer smacks. The Maxigun saw its ammo buffed from 750 up to 1000, okay, but there's nothing here about the excessive blur and smoke it produces, the lower base damage, or the fact that it just makes you stand in spot to shoot and aim it. And by the way, aiming is still going to be quite difficult with all that blur. The laser cannon has seen its beam distance upped by 5 times, from 200 meters out to 1,000 meters. Okay. The GL belt fed picked up 20 ammo, up from 100 to 120. So again, with these belt feds, more ammo, but it's still afflicted by all the normal backpack fed issues like lower base damage, etc. The De-Escalator now has a faster reload, losing 2 seconds from a dry reload, taking it from a somewhat insufferable 7.5 seconds now down to 5.5 seconds. That's pretty huge right there. 1 round can be reloaded faster as well, down from 3.5 to 2.5 seconds. The AC-8 Autocannon also received a bevy of lower reload times, losing a half second pretty much across the board for both dry and half-dry reloads. C4 has seen a key swap from right to left keys. And finally, here's another one of these changes you might want to sit down for. The exosuits have received a nerf to their damage zones around their legs. Now, I'm going to speculate here, but I think this was made because Arrowhead couldn't isolate the damage divers were taking when they got too close to the mech legs. But overall, this is not the best of timing to drop another nerf on the mechs when overall they are really not in a good spot right now. This means that enemies will need to get closer to your legs to receive damage, but will also allow enemies to get in closer to your legs without taking said damage. And by the way, if you're enjoying this Helldivers content, I'd really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button. On my last Helldivers video, over 70% of viewers were not subscribed, and I'd ideally like to get that ratio down to a 50-50 split. Also, if you just subscribed, please hit the bell icon to receive all my future upload alerts. All right, we've got just a little bit more here to go, including the weapon and stratagem fixes. So listen up, everybody. By the way, you can follow along up on your screens as well. I'd like to highlight a few of these, including they have fixed stratagems bouncing on fuel depots and factory cities. Now, this doesn't sound like it is a full bouncing stratagem ball fix across the board, but it's something. Also, the secret grenade issues that have been on the known issues board for a while now are apparently now fixed. You will now see more melee weapon stats in your armory, including damage, attack speed, and stamina drain. And to finish this thing up, sorry everyone out there, no more quad stacking hell bombs for your stratagems. The glitch that allowed you to take multiples of the same stratagem has been fixed. Again, I guess we'll see how long it stays fixed this time. Enemy fixes are next, and Brood Commanders and how they summon reinforcements versus host and clients has now been addressed. Wow, that's a big one. Overseers will now stagger when their armor and shields are broken, also a big one there. Surge modifiers have been pulled back, no, because they were spawning more enemies than intended, which sounds like a massive oof, because the cracked spawns was exactly what players loved about those surge modifiers. Seriously, Arrowhead, what are you doing with that? This was exactly what the players wanted, and you took it away. Anyways, okay. Back to it. Vox engine spawns have been reduced. They can't turn their upper bodies as fast. They will also be getting more spread on those auto-lock cannon shots because those were crazy accurate. The machine gun sentries on their sides will now die when they do instead of lingering on and killing divers. And finally, Vox engines will try to avoid using their main cannons to shoot at targets that are too close to them. Also, one final one I missed here. Enemies walking through the Vox engine tracks to attack us divers has apparently been fixed. Bastion tanks getting launched into high orbit by cars in the city has been corrected. Reinforced scout striders, not dying if you hit the rocket pods, is now fixed. And a fix for the levers on the cyborg assembly units and how they would not work if you were killed or ragdolled while interacting with them has also been deployed. Finally, over to some highlighted miscellaneous fixes, and for all you stealth divers out there, they fixed the bullets passing through foliage issues where they would curve around and off target when encountering bushes or twigs and such. Stationary reload stratagems being able to be reloaded while in flight with the lift pack has also been removed. And a total boo here, Illuminate overships can no longer be destroyed by anything except the Planetary defense cannon. Again, links to everything, including the trailer and of course the patch notes, will be found in the video description and down in the pinned comment. And I highly encourage you to go check it out for yourselves, because now it's time for me to drop in my brutally honest thoughts and impressions on what is laid out here in general in patch update 6.1.0. First up, we have to talk about the fire changes. And I said it earlier, why has it taken it this long for a status effect to be added to flame weapons like a slow effect is just beyond me. I mean, it's great that it's finally here, but after so many calls for it to happen from the community, here on the same day that a fire-centric World War I Warbond drops is a little, well, it's something. I'd also like to say that anything to do with weakening mechs, especially right now, considering where they are currently in the game, is like pouring buckets of salt on mech diver wounds. The Grenade Launcher losing its AP4 value so soon after it received it felt like a little bit of a gut punch, especially since I felt Arrowhead could have buffed the GL belt fed instead, but they chose this route. On the flip side, the upcoming Illuminate enemies, the new units, the lightning-ridden planets, and the new mission type sound very interesting. And I don't want to forget to mention this again, there's more than a few buffs in this patch, either to ammo or reload speed, and a lot of issues that seem to have been fixed here with enemies, like the Vox engines, and the fact they've been adjusted to make them a little more in tune with enemy power levels. Honestly, I didn't have an issue with the Vox engines before today's patch, except for how many could spawn on top of each other. So overall, like I said much earlier in today's video, we've got some good here, we've got some meh, and we've got some ugly thrown in as well. And here's where you get to sound off with all of your feedback by dropping a comment below. Where does patch update 6.1.0 stack up for you? And what would you have Arrowhead do to make it better for the game? In case you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. If you're on mobile, please swipe right to hype the video. And before I go, I'd like to say thank you to all of our hardcore channel supporters who show up on the daily to support me and the channel. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.